The heavy cream cardstock sat on my kitchen table, its gold lettering gleaming in the morning light. The wedding of Alex Thompson and Victoria Jung at the Ritz-Carlton. Even the invitations screamed wealth. My wealth, though Alex would never admit that now. 6 months ago, I was the CEO of Thompson Technologies, a company I had built from the ground up, starting in my garage and growing it into a multi-million-dollar empire. Now, I lived in a modest apartment, retired early due to the maneuvering of my own son. The business I'd spent 30 years building was no longer mine. Alex had engineered my downfall with a series of calculated moves I should have seen coming. The phone rang, snapping me out of my reverie. It was my daughter, Emily. "Dad, did you get one too?" she asked. I ran my finger along the embossed edge of the invitation. "Just arrived. Very fancy. Are you going?" She sounded cautious, like she was treading carefully around a topic she knew would be difficult. I sighed. "I haven't decided." That was a lie. The moment I opened the envelope, I knew what I had to do, but I wasn't ready to tell Emily. Not yet. "Dad, he's your son," Emily said quietly. "No matter what happened between you two, he's still your son." "You have to think about that." I did think about it, but the son I raised wouldn't have done what Alex did. I could feel the tension in her voice as she hesitated. "I know he hurt you. But maybe this wedding, it's a chance to." "To what?" I cut her off. "Celebrate his theft. Watch him parade around with the money he took from me while telling everyone how he built this company from the ground up." "Dad," her voice trembled slightly. "I'll be fine, sweetheart," I said, cutting her off gently. "I need some time to think. Let's talk soon." After hanging up, I wandered into my home office, a shadow of the one I once had at Thompson Technologies. I opened the file labeled insurance on my laptop. Inside were documents I had quietly gathered over the past few months, emails, bank records, witness statements from former employees who feared speaking out against Alex's manipulation. Alex thought he had everything covered. He believed his old man was too old school, too trusting to understand the corporate games being played. He was wrong. My phone buzzed with a text from Victor Jung, Victoria's father, and, ironically, one of my oldest business partners. "James, we need to talk. Can you meet?" I smiled bitterly. "The usual place," I typed. "1 hour?" "See you there." The usual place was a small Chinese restaurant in the old part of town. Victor and I had been meeting there for lunch every month for the past 2 decades, long before Alex had ever started dating Victoria. Victor was already sitting at our usual booth when I arrived, looking more disheveled than usual. Something was wrong. "James," he greeted me, his hand firm, but his eyes troubled. "Thank you for coming." I sat down across from him. "What's going on, Victor?" He glanced around before speaking, lowering his voice. "It's about the merger Alex is pushing after the wedding." I froze. The merger. The one all the business magazines were calling the next big thing. The union of Thompson Technologies and Zhang Industries. Alex's masterpiece. His self-declared crowning achievement. What about it? Victor slid a folder across the table. My auditors found some discrepancies. Numbers that don't add up. Projections that don't make sense. I thought at first it was just overconfidence, but then I dug deeper. I opened the folder, my heart sinking as I looked at the numbers. It was worse than I expected. Alex had inflated the company's value. "The company's worth isn't what Alex has claimed," Victor said, his voice low. "If these reports are correct, it's a house of cards. This merger would be fraudulent." I looked at Victor, his face pale, a longtime friend now caught in the fallout of his daughter's engagement. "And Victoria?" I asked. "Does she know?" Victor shook his head. "She has no idea." "I have to do something," I said, my resolve hardening. Victor's expression turned grim. "James, I hate to ask this, but what are you going to do?" I took a deep breath, my mind already made up. "I'm going to the wedding, and I'm going to make sure the truth comes out." 2 weeks later, the day of the wedding arrived with clear skies and the buzzing anticipation of the elite guests. The Ritz-Carlton had been transformed into a showpiece, flowers everywhere, security at every entrance, luxury cars streaming in one after the other. I recognized most of them. Tech executives, venture capitalists, all here to witness the union of two powerful families. I couldn't help but wonder how many of them truly knew the truth about Alex and his rise to power. "Mr. Thompson," A familiar voice interrupted my thoughts. It was David Lee, Alex's newest vice president. His smile faltered when he saw me. "Early, aren't we?" I said, my tone polite but sharp. I'll check on the projections," David stammered, visibly rattled. I made my way into the ballroom, which looked like a scene out of a fairy tale, except there was no magic in the air. It was all a facade. The stage was set for Alex's perfect day, a carefully orchestrated show of success. "Dad." I turned to see Emily walking toward me, her bridesmaid dress looking out of place in the sea of extravagance around us. She looked concerned, her brow furrowed. "You're early," she observed, eyeing my face. "And you've got that look." "Look?" I asked, trying to act casual. "The one you had when you closed your first big deal," she said softly. "When you were about to do something big." I pulled her into a quick hug, my heart tightening. "Just here to support your brother, Em." She stepped back, her eyes searching mine. "Dad, please, whatever you're planning." "Miss Thompson." A wedding coordinator appeared, rushing toward Emily. "We need you for the pre-ceremony photos." Emily squeezed my hand tightly, her eyes full of unspoken worry. "Just think about what you're doing." I nodded, but I already knew what I had to do. The moment of truth. The ceremony was the epitome of extravagance. Victoria, stunning in her designer gown, stood at the altar beside Alex, who radiated smugness. This was his moment, his victory. But it wasn't real, and everyone needed to know. Then came the speech, the one Alex had obviously spent weeks crafting. He stood tall, in a $10,000 tuxedo, and began. "Today isn't just about love." Alex's voice echoed, his smile glowing. "It's about legacy, building something lasting." I could feel my hand tightening around the USB drive in my pocket. "I stand before you, having built an empire from nothing," he continued. "Thompson Technologies is a symbol of what can be achieved through ambition and hard work. And with this marriage, with this union of families, we are creating something extraordinary." The crowd murmured in approval. Investors exchanged pleased looks, eager to congratulate the young visionary. "My father," Alex said, his eyes finding mine. The look in his eyes was triumphant, and I could feel the bile rising in my throat. "He taught me everything. And today, I stand before you, surpassing him. Sometimes, the student must become the master." I stood up slowly, my presence cutting through the stillness of the room. The guests shifted, uneasy, as if sensing something was about to happen. "Tell them how you really did it, Alex," I said, my voice carrying across the room. Alex blinked, momentarily thrown off balance. "Dad, please, this isn't the time for." "No," I said firmly. "Tell them about the falsified reports, about the inflated valuations. Tell them how you manipulated the numbers to push me out of the company I built." The room fell silent. Victoria turned to look at Alex, her confusion turning into suspicion. "I don't know what you're talking about," Alex stammered, but his confidence was slipping fast. I stepped forward, pulling the USB drive from my pocket. "How about I show them?" The screen behind him flickered to life, displaying the first of many documents Alex thought no one had saved. The original emails, the fabricated reports, the deceitful projections. Gasps filled the room. Victoria's father stood up, his expression turning grim as he read the words on the screen. I didn't stop there. I moved closer, my voice steady. "Let's talk about the real numbers, shall we? The actual worth of Thompson Technologies. The growth you reported? It's a lie. And you've been lying to everyone, including Victoria." Alex's face turned red, then pale as he realized what was happening. "You're ruining everything," he spat, starting to advance toward me. "Maybe it's you who ruined everything," I said calmly. "But I'm just here to make sure the truth is known." The aftermath. The chaos in the ballroom escalated as Alex was escorted out by federal agents. The perfect wedding he had planned for months had crumbled before his eyes. Victoria, holding her engagement ring in her trembling hand, walked away without a word. As for me, I had done what I set out to do, expose the man who had stolen everything from me.